New home sales surging last month, hitting their best level since October 2007. So is this more good news, and should it force the Fed to hike rates sooner rather than later? Real estate analyst Tim Rood joins us now. Tim, first of all, the new home sales came in significantly better than Wall Street thought they would. What's going on there with the housing market?
Hey, Charles. Nice to see you. I mean, obviously, it's good news. I think what I hate for people to do is to get lost in those abstract percentages, because while they're up 30-odd% year over year and 12% month over month, what we're lacking to really observe is the fact that this is still so significantly below the historical average. We're not even anywhere near where we were in terms of the pace leading up to the housing crisis. So if I was any of the politicians looking for running for election, I wouldn't satisfy themselves that all is well. I would look behind these numbers and better understand why it took so long to get here and why the heck the numbers aren't even higher.
Well, let's talk about that for a moment, because I don't know that anyone wants the numbers to be where they were pre-crash. Maybe they were a little bit too high then, maybe it was a little distorted, but we know that we're off the lows. There's no supply, 4.3 months worth of supply. Apparently a lot of construction workers haven't come back, but also there's been the issue of getting loans, right? I mean, so talk to us about all of these things.
Well, there's a number of challenges for the housing market, and you're right. You don't want to get back to the market really suffered leading up to the housing crisis because of that speculation. You know, most of the speculative mortgage lending products have been legislated out of existence. You know, there was a ton of fraud. You know, there was a number of things that led to that number being artificially inflated. But if you look at the 3 decades leading up to that point, we're still painfully below that number. I think as we're looking at it from the more general macroeconomic perspective, is that if you're not seeing this sort of turnover, if you're not seeing the housing market turnover, which is so pro-cyclical for the housing market and for businesses and for consumers, you're going to be languishing in this kind of 1.2% growth environment, because you have people that are stuck in these properties through loan modification programs that didn't work too successfully, or they trap people in their houses, or you've got 5-6 million properties that either you can't foreclose on or you can't sell for some regulatory burden or restrictions.
So then, Tim, would you say it's a smart move by the Fed to delay raising rates right now?
Well, anything you do with the housing market, I think, is first and foremost is do no harm. I mean, this is a multi-trillion-dollar market. Just the mortgage market alone is $6 to $7 trillion, and the home equity is another 25 trillion. So what we do know is that, you know, no one's going to get elected based on their housing policy reform. But, you know, you make a mistake, like you raise interest rates too quickly, too high, or you change something fundamental about the market, and you have this modest increase stall. I mean, the effects are rippling, and yeah, I don't see any incentive for the Fed to raise interest rates when you have, again, 1.2% interest rates. You've invested $4 trillion in quantitative easing, and we're still talking about deflation. Yeah, there's no way in heck I can see any value from raising interest rates.
Well, we've only got a short period, but I got to squeeze this one in, because you've talked about regulatory and being elected and those things. How much should the government be involved? Should there be an issue where the government backs up loans where there's only 2, 5, 10% down?
Well, you certainly wouldn't engineer the situation that we find ourselves in, where the government's backing 90%. Here's the issue when you look at it, Charles, is fundamentally this is kind of like, you know, pay me now or pay me later. If we don't find ways to keep the government subsidizing housing, as, you know, as sour as that tastes in your mouth, then what's going to happen is you're not going to allow them the opportunity, these first-time home buyers, to get into a property, accumulate some wealth, and ultimately have a chance of paying for their retirement or health care. If you don't do that and you raise the barriers too high, then we'll see them on the other end and recovering these folks' retirement and health care. So we'll take it either in the face or in the chest.
Tim Rood, very, very articulate. I could talk to you a little longer, but we're out of time right now. We'll have you back again real soon. Thanks a lot. Learned a lot.